The US prosecutors have called this one of the biggest financial frauds in American history. So what do you reckon are the chances anyone will get their money back from FTX?
Well, obviously, this is going to be a very difficult case simply because of the number of creditors that are owed money, as well as the lack of bookkeeping, as you've mentioned. So there are some positive signs at this stage, but it will be definitely a long process. There was word that there could be potentially at least $1 billion, which has been secured at this point, and there is some positive signs that more assets will be identified and secured by the current CEO.
Yeah, and Dan, we've seen a lot of cryptocurrency firms and digital currencies collapse this year. For example, Terra, Luna, Celsius, now FTX. So how worried should investors be about potentially being scammed or losing money if they're thinking of putting money into cryptocurrency projects?
Well, cryptocurrency by nature is quite a risky investment. Anyone who is potentially looking to get into cryptocurrency to expand their portfolio due to the lower interest rates in the banks, etc., they really need to take note of the risk. And that is part of the reason why there are the large gains to be made, but also the massive losses that can be made. So it's interesting that FTX is not necessarily the largest fall for a cryptocurrency exchange or currency this year. So we've also seen the Terra collapse, which caused a massive fallout across most of the blockchains. But there was also Celsius, which was also a huge loss, which was greater than what we will likely expect from FTX. In terms of the ongoing market, no doubt investors are quite cautious at this stage, and I can completely appreciate that from our side. But in terms of cryptocurrencies, they've been quite resilient over the years, and no doubt we'll see a recovery at some stage. But no doubt there will be a lot of caution by investors from this point.
And Dan, I want to ask you something about your experience in this field. What are the hallmarks of a crypto scam, and what mistakes do people keep falling for?
The types of hallmarks, they definitely do vary. The criminals behind these operations are very adept with their criminal enterprise and manipulation of customers. So the second that the authorities tend to restrict one type of scam or take down another scam, they're definitely still back at it, trying different techniques. But something that people really need to be aware of is that it's not normal for a withdrawal to only be approved if you pay tax. So most of these cryptocurrency trading operations are overseas. And they deliberately target Australians because it's really hard for the Australian authorities to target them when they're overseas in a different policing jurisdiction. But they will say that we need to have you pay tax either in the US or the UK or something similar to that. But as Australian residents, that just doesn't make sense. So if there's ever anything similar to that, you need to start asking questions, and definitely do not pay any further money into your investment until you've clarified that you're working with a legitimate operator.
And in light of all this bad news in the cryptocurrency industry and a surge in investment scams, do you expect there to be tougher regulation being imposed on this sector?
Most definitely. So the US is leading the way at this point simply because FTX was a US operation primarily, although they did have other operations around the world, of course. But there's talk amongst the lawmakers in the US that they definitely will be looking to create regulation similar to what would be expected from gambling and all the rest, because the lack of regulation in the cryptocurrency space is one of the reasons why criminal activity is able to flourish. But in a sense, that's a complete different ideology to what cryptocurrency was created for, where it was invented basically to avoid banking, government regulation, and so no doubt there will be a lot of people in the cryptocurrency community who won't be happy about this, but in my view, it has to happen.
Dan Halpin, thank you very much for your insights.
No problems. Thank you, David.